Hello, my name is Gonzalo Veloz, also known as Gonz. I'm the director of brand and creative at Alyce, and also I'm a freelance creative and video producer, animator, jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades, talented man. I mean, busier than anything. I mean, it's during this entire time that and I have to go back to see exactly when you were, but like it was a year early. Um,
Yeah,
it's summertime, maybe
it
early.
was like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
weird. So I tried to get back to everyone in a year, but then more and more people were like, "Hey, we would love to be on the podcast," and so it got to the point where 100, like now we're at 182 interviews, in 18 months. Yeah, something
Wow.
like that. Yeah, which has been really good. It's been my happy place of therapy, but also it's just been a great way of getting a lot of great stories of all the things that you guys are doing. But in that process of even just looking up people, I'm seeing you and you're like everywhere. You're doing a lot. So how was your year? I mean, how are you doing? What happened? From the time that I
Well,
interviewed you, what happened?
it's been ridiculous. That's the word that I describe it. Um, yes, I think the only thing that has been kind of the same is that I'm in the same company that I was last year, but I just got promoted. It's not like public yet, but I like that's like my new title that I presented myself with.
Yay.
Um, so that's the only kind of stable thing because in the past year and a half, well, work wise, a lot of work, a lot of crazy freelance projects. It was like the first year that I really took my freelance business as like a business, and it's growing. Insane clients. Did a project for Twitter. I did all sorts of projects for a bunch of tech companies. Working a ton of music stuff. Been working with some like comedians in New York, doing some stuff.
All right, wait, I'm
Um,
going to stop you for a quick second. This uptick has been insane. I mean, like you're naming off all these people and these companies. Why do you believe there's been such an uptick? Because your talent hasn't changed. I mean, you've been talented, you've been around for quite some time, you've been doing this. And yes, a lot of people were getting promoted on, I mean, literally, if I could have hired half the people that were on TikTok that were creating amazing
yeah.
videos, I would have. I mean, the talent from all ages was through the roof crazy. So they're coming to you. Why do you think that is? I mean, what's happening to the industry right now that everyone is like saying like, "Hey, we need you."
I think it's because last year companies realized the need for content and also the need for creative people. I've always been a firm believer that you need to separate creatives from marketing, not in the sense that maybe live in a different department, but you need to let them operate. And for example, in Boston, compared to other cities like New York and LA, you a couple of years, 2 3 years ago, 4 years ago, you would go on a job board and you would see only like a couple openings for graphic designer
Mhm.
or a video producer, copywriter, motion designer. And now you see the crazy amount of jobs. I mean, it's like the combination of the need for things that before companies wouldn't take it that seriously. A lot of, like, I would say most of the companies wouldn't don't take brand that seriously until last year. People were home, a lot of people still are working from home, and that's not going to change. And the needs started to come up, and people started, and creatives and people that work in the creative industry started seeing the opportunity to do more work, get paid really well for doing the work,
Mhm.
and also people had a lot of time to polish their skills. For example, that was one thing that I did when the pandemic started. I was just a bit scared because um for like I've others have pigeonholed me into I'm a video producer, right? And that's kind of what people call me to do work for them.
Mhm.
And but I have always known how to do other stuff. But I was like, well, since I can't go and do shoots, what am I supposed to do? So pretty much I did like a deep dive into how can I become a good motion designer.
Yep.
Classes, doing projects, doing some projects for free, doing some projects for myself, listening to podcasts, talking to people, reaching out, and that's kind of like that was like the boom for me. A lot of people started calling, a lot of people started reaching out, and just the work kept coming nonstop, and still is. So I think it was like the combination of that, the need for the demand for the creative work.
Mhm.
People were trying to hone their skills, become better, and just people were looking for opportunities and they got them.
Yeah, I have to say that I I was concerned for you. Look, the last time we spoke, because you were just definitely on there were, because of the people that were pigeonholing you, you were just so frustrated. I mean, you knew your talents so well, and you're just so frustrated that you're like, I go, what? I mean, I've been doing this and I'm growing my skills, and yet I keep getting the same kind of gigs. And I love that you figured out, how do I sit there and take this time and cultivate a better message? And you, I mean, now your doors, I mean, you're constantly being asked, you're constantly being sought after. What are the best clients for you? Who are the people that you've enjoyed working with the most, that really opens up the talents of what you have to offer? Because I feel like we are surrounded by content. Content is everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah.
I was recently in California, in Santa Monica. I was like rode my bike from Santa Monica to Venice Beach, and the amount of content that I could see as a creative myself was insane. Yeah. It was just like, I have to go hide myself because my brain is on overload. So yeah. Who are the people that you're finding that you're enjoying the most and you're creating the best for them, and they're seeing the value of you?
I think my niche of the people that call me the most are tech companies of some sort that are in like their mid stage, right?
Okay.
50 to 300 employees, because they have budget, they have initiative, but they sometimes don't have the internal knowledge or the know-how, or they're trying to build it up. And I think that's like a sweet spot, because like their brands are not as restrictive yet. Like they haven't still defined a lot of things. And I love helping them define those things, right? And I think that's like a very, very good spot. That's pretty much where most of my revenue as a freelancer comes in. And well, it's also my full-time job. The company I work for is a company that is in that stage of kind of hyper growth, like healthy, sustainable growth, 100, 200 employees. They're like, you know, there recently some sort of series A, B, C of funding. And then slowly I started discovering other parts of the people I started reaching out. So for example, this project that I did for Twitter was through an agency. I don't usually like working from agencies because there's a lot of
rules
stuff. And this was this guy, his name is Richard Rugnow. He's in LA, they're in California. It's an agency called RAR, RAR. And they reached out because he's good friends with like a mentor of mine. He reached out and he's like, dude, I have this project. Let's do it. Pretty much straight up, like not a lot of questions asked. Let's just jump into this adventure together. And I realized that it was like a great gig because the team that we were working together, it was like a low ego type of operation. Really talented art director, really talented like sound designer, editor. Me, this like the owner of the agency, and everybody was just like, we built like a really good rapport and we still work together. And I realized that's kind of what I want to do. When I'm talking to prospective clients, regardless of the size of the company, if I get a good vibe, I want to work with them. But if not, I do something that it's known, but like the way that I call it is like pricing out people, pretty much. If I'm going to start talking with somebody and I don't like the energy they're going or how they're talking, if they're like trying to, you know, try to be too cool for school with me, or they're trying to flex all these things, I just up my rate like pretty substantially. And like if they say yes, great, it's worth my time. And if they say no, like I didn't kind of want to work with them. So I was
you're
just
giving
like,
your secret. You're giving out your secret right now. What are you doing?
And no, and a lot of people do this, right? And there's this educational website called The Future by this guy Chris Do, that he has like a super popular podcast, and he talks about this a lot. And for me, the last year was the opportunity to become very aware of my talent and also my journey since I moved here to the United States. Of like, okay, I have seen all this growth, I have seen all these things, I have worked in all these projects, I have worked my ass off to be where I am. And I don't need to really take shit from anybody at this point, because
the self-worth is a big one for me, because I have told people over and over and over again, and this was before the pandemic, I felt like a lot of people were being used. I was watching a lot of people being used. And during the pandemic, they realized, especially because the micromanagers are peel back the onion, that micromanagers are gone. While the individuals that were like hiding all the great talent for themselves are gone, and everyone can actually promote themselves, anyone that wanted to. And now people are starting to be noticed. And I'm like, take it now and own it, because it may get back to the way it was, not dramatically the way it was, but it may get back where the blockers are coming back.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a cycle, you know. I think the pandemic kind of uncovered a lot of things, and there's a lot of changes for positive. There's a lot of changes, negative things, or things are going to come back to where they, but I think there's like a drastic change in how a lot of businesses operate and how people think and perceive work. For me, I've always like, I have that immigrant mindset of like, I need to save every penny and just be, you know, and also like, it's kind of like an element of guilt and an element of like extra cautiousness. And for me, it was like, why am I just being so hard on myself if I'm working so hard in all these projects and I'm getting paid and I'm all, and why do I need to just not enjoy what I'm doing? Because that was for me the big thing. I was just like, I need to do all this work, I need to save all this money, and I need to do this thing. And
well,
and
it's the mentality like, it's the mentality that we're grown, that we're raised with.
Yeah.
You come to America for the American dream, you don't want to mess up.
Yeah. And it becomes unhealthy. It's like in the past interview, I was living in this apartment that I've been living for years, right? Like I moved. That was like another thing that happened last year. And I was like, it was like a cheap apartment, but like it wasn't like really great. But I was just like, I need to save the money. And I was like, no, like I need to start letting go of this thought, because it's not a healthy relationship with money, with work, and with the perception that I have of myself as a professional and as a human being.
Right.
And I still work on it. It's not a thing that like you let go so easily, but I'm like trying to actively change that mindset. And it was like very positive to see, like, people are quitting their jobs. So like
4.4 million people quit their jobs in April.
Yeah. And because it's not because like they're entitled, like, you know, a lot of people say, or it's because like there are jobs that are just super shitty and managers that suck and companies are like oppressive. And people are becoming self-aware of their worth. And I am 100% about that. Because it's just like, I think it's like an awakening of like, we need to be better in general. It's not only about work, it's about like humanity.
Well, so you're in the creative space, but you're everything that you do behind the creative spaces, you're working with people. You're seeing them. You're seeing companies that are hiring you. You're getting to be inside that company, and you're videotaping, and you're getting a close-up reaction of the individuals that are in that company. So you're seeing so much more than most people would ever see. You're getting the close-up, literally and figuratively. What could companies do? Because I mean, you as an individual, you own your own company, you work for a company, you are fixing, molding, changing, adding things to your life. But you're with these companies all the time, and you're trying to pull out the best in them the way it's shown, because you can't hide on camera. I don't care what people say, you can't hide it. So what are you doing, or what advice would you give to people trying to get that company? Because right now the biggest fear is people are losing employees left and right, not just Dunkin' Donuts, not just because you thought they were on unemployment and they're not coming back, because guess what, unemployment's been done for quite some time. People are leaving, like you just said, like I just mentioned, people are leaving for something better. You're in a company, you're trying to help them create that brand. How are you doing that? How do you educate a brand from, let's just say, if it's under 50, under 100 people, under 300 people, what would be your best advice from what you've seen, what you've experienced, and what you're trying to create as a story for them?
I think first it's about, honesty. I think it's just easy to perceive when a company is not about what they're talking about. You know what I mean? Like, you see a lot of companies that the CEO comes out and says something that is like, I don't know, like, I don't even want to name names. This is just like a more general example. But for me, when I see things that happened last year,
Yeah.
X company raised $500 million and then they hire like fucking like 2,000 people, and then 2 months later the pandemic started.
Don't cuss on my podcast.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Stop it.
Okay, they rate. I'm gonna repeat the line. Maybe you gotta edit.
I'm not gonna edit, but I'm just telling you, don't cuss.
Okay. But they raised like all this money. They hired 2,000 people, and then 3 months later the pandemic started. Oh, we fire all those people.
Ooh.
And then you release some like sob, like statement. We are so sorry. We're gonna help them allocate that. Like then you were never about that about those people. You're literally letting them go when literally they need the job the most. So when you go and you listen to companies and you're making a piece of content about them and they talk about we care, it's like it's pretty easy because companies are so like the image is out there. Like a company can hire me and let's make a video for HR, but I can just go and check. There's websites that like have like they have like it's like data on how much people they have let go and why, and so that's one thing. Second, usually when it's like a good gauging metric for me when I talk to the people that are in charge of the project, we go back to what I was saying, like it's the vibe they give, and if they are if they're cool people that they're pretty open, they're talking about what they want to do, and I get that business is business, but you kind of understand where they're coming from because of their attitude. Mm-hmm. And the other part is more on the management side for the companies. It's just like you got to listen to what people are saying, and you got to be realistic about what people are saying. I feel like companies right now sugarcoat too much, like the bad news. And they wanna, every time you go to a company meeting, you hear somebody, this quarter was really bad, but we're gonna come back. And it's like, no, let's be realistic. It's more like this: we didn't hit X goal for this quarter, but like let's rally all together. Here's what I think everybody can contribute. Here's what, instead of like, oh bummer, well we'll do better next quarter. It's more like actionable things. I think it's what companies need. So I think that's a big part. And then in terms of when you're working content with them, it's just you try to translate the best image of them because they're paying you. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you need to be honest as a creative yourself of, are you gonna let me work, and are you gonna let me do what I know how to do and let me help you in this process or not? Because like I understand that sometimes companies want to control the narrative with what they're putting out there, but I mean, I'm not a big fan of pretty much lying on behalf of a client. That's not me.
Well, the interesting part is the lies unravel very quickly because you just said, like, all you have to do is do your due diligence and check on how the HR department is. How many people have they let go? There's press releases. The news is all over it, and so. If you throw out a video, there's always that one person that's savvy enough to say, something's not right. And then they just put it on Reddit and they just put it on Facebook. Then they put it somewhere, or even just internally inside that company, someone's going to put on their private Facebook that someone now has taken a screenshot of saying, worst company to work for ever.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think social media is a double-edged sword, right? You can see the good and you can see the bad, and the lies and the BS gets filtered out there pretty easy. So it's a tough time and a good time.
Question. Well, switch over a little bit. What did the pandemic do for you personally? So you started getting into it, then we went into work, but how was your year in regards for you? What did you get out of it? What did you see that you're like, I would have never done this or gotten involved in this or cared about this if it wasn't for the pandemic and this abundance of time? How did you grow as an individual? Because your company, owning your own company and working for someone else, it's just like you're constantly going. You're go. But we're in a pandemic. So how did you take care of yourself and your team and just like everyone else that was around you?
I think there's a few things, and I feel the last year and a half has been really good in a lot of ways. As a person, well, I developed a relationship with somebody and we moved in together. I got engaged. That's like another news.
Congratulations. Yes. Nice.
I have a dog. He's camouflaged in the discussion. Alfie.
Is he gray?
Yeah. So he's camouflaged in the pillow. So well, yeah, that's a big news. But also, I mean, I was one of those people at the beginning of the pandemic that said, I'm gonna do 87 million things and I'm gonna get in shape, and that was a big thing for me that I had to work on. I was pretty harsh on myself because I didn't do. I feel that I was like, oh, I'm wasting all this time instead of doing this thing. I spent to stay watching TV, and I, instead of working out, I did the X thing. So I think that was something that I worked on a lot. I was like, how can I be more compassionate with myself in terms of the world is a disaster right now. Like everybody else is going through the same thing that I'm going through. Everybody made so many promises to themselves that they were going to do, and most people didn't do it. And for me, that was a big thing. I started to learn more about the value of time off and resting and just hanging out with people. For many years, I wasn't a very good friend because I was always like, oh, I have this gig over the weekend. I have this thing that I'm going to do. So I didn't spend as much time with my friends, but I feel that last year and a half, I have done the active effort to let's hang out, let's do these things, or let's go camping, or let's go to the beach, or which I feel that it's been really special and it's been really good. And the other part was, as a business operator, in a way, I had the time to really think about what did I really wanted to do with my business. Start to think a little bit about the future of like, oh, okay, this is something that could shape up into this. These are the kind of people that I would like to work with. Maybe I can start thinking about like having a couple of freelancers in my roster to work with, and started to building relationships with a lot of people. I feel that I also made friends last year, it was pretty rough to do, but there was people that I met on social media throughout the years.
Well, no, because I was just going to ask you, like, making friends, you're friendly person. I mean, like, literally, you are. I mean, I met you. God, I don't even know how many years ago I met you, but you've always been friendly. So, what do you mean making friends?
I'm easygoing in the sense that I can meet people, but I have a problem that is a lot of times people want to hang out and people want to, because yeah, sometimes I do cool stuff and people get attracted to that and people are like, oh my God, let's go. But sometimes like I'm not in the same page with those people. Like we can spend time, but there's like a lot of boundaries that. Yeah. So for me, it's hard it's hard to find people that I'm like, okay, I can put these boundaries down because I really want to spend time with these people and do different things. So that was something that it was special for me about last year. I managed to like meet up with friends, people that you meet in social media and they're great and you connect with them. And it's like, oh, these people have like a lot of affinities and a lot of things that are similar to me. Yeah. We can like have fun and it's great. Also, a lot of those people are Venezuelan as well. So that was also a special thing. Mm-hmm. And also being able to rekindle a lot of relationships with close friends that I felt like we dropped off, that you get older and friendships kind of fade off. And I was like, well, I want to try to be a better friend. As much as I am a hermit and I loved being home, I was like, well, if there's opportunities of me that I can like go do something with people, I'm going to try and do it, because I know right now I don't want to go, but once I'm there, I'm going to have a great time.
God, you and I should be twins, because as much as, but no, seriously, as much as I'm out and about all the time. People are like, you are out and about all the time. When I tell you how much I love being home, it is shocking to me. I mean, I love being home because being a little Haitian kid, we weren't allowed to go out. It's like the pandemic was designed for me, because people are like, oh my God, are you afraid? Are you shocked? Like all these emotions. I'm like, I am good right where I am. There are 10 million things that I can do, and I will never not be bored, because I was never allowed to leave the house when I was little.
Yeah. Yeah. I always talk with my fiance about this. I'm like, we're pretty set here at home. I have my studio space with like my guitars and stuff, and we have TV, we have like all the streaming services that you can think, video games. We have a very stacked kitchen with whatever. Like it's perfect. It's a perfect space to just be here, but at the same time, it's like sometimes it will be like, oh, I feel that I haven't left the apartment for 5 days.
There are days where I looked at my calendar, I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna see humans today.
Yeah.
in real life.
Yeah, that was the thing for me. I feel that I built a lot of self-awareness about self-awareness about myself, obviously, but about my environment and that I need to like proactiveness about things and to just not focus about work and money and adult things, but also just really enjoy time, because that's the other thing. I think I became more aware on how valuable is time.
Yeah.
And how we waste so much of it doing whatever instead of, doing quality activities with quality people that we want to spend quality time. So I think that was a big thing.
I think that a lot of people have had the aha moments as well. Where do you feel that, what do you think that you added to your life that you would have never, literally never done if it wasn't for the pandemic? Because I think that's, a lot of people are feeling guilty because they had a great time. Because nothing happened. I cannot feel guilty that I enjoyed the moment of pause. I'm not going to hide away from the fact that I really loved the moment of pause. And I had a little freak out moment when things started opening. Because I was like, whoa. Look, a slow roll would have been great, but it was just like a full on.
Yeah.
Here we go.
People are feral on the streets.
Oh my God. It was insane. But what do you feel that was added to your life that you're so thankful for, that it could have happened, but probably not for a couple of years, that happened during this time that you're like, holy crap, like shit, this is amazing.
Yeah, getting engaged, getting an apartment with somebody, and having a dog, I think is like a big three for me.
If you're gonna do it, you're gonna go all in.
No, it's crazy. I think like that, and it's pretty crazy. So for me, I've always been cautious with people and relationships and all that kind of stuff. And for me, finding somebody that is like, oh, I just want to have a time and it's great, and we are so much alike in a lot of things. Mm-hmm. But especially we share that concept of we want to have a good life with what we have. Yeah. Let's go camping, let's go to the beach, let's plan a trip, let's go and watch a sports game, even though she doesn't like sports that much. But it's like, just hang and do things, or let's go to this new restaurant that we saw, or let's go to like this weird food spot that we drove by. Just that, sharing all those experiences, mm-hmm. for me has been really special, and it has been really just like such a change of pace. I feel it grounded me a lot. I'm a very neurotic person. I'm always like thinking about stuff and worrying, but having all of these new things have allowed me to be less like that more often. I'm still like that. Like sometimes I'm like, I could be in a baseball game, Fenway, and it's like the 7th inning, and I'm like, can we just go so we can avoid the crazy traffic and all the drunks? Like that's who I am, But
that is not a bad thing.
Yeah, but it's like,
I was gonna say, if I'm at the Patriots, watching the Patriots, and I'm like, getting out of here is gonna be tough.
Yeah, because it's like
the end of the game.
It's so far. So I'm like, let's just go. Or like, oh my God, I got this email from work. What is that supposed to mean? And I'm like 2 days, overthinking about everything. But mm-hmm. I have been finding myself more and more not being like that about everything, which is a pretty drastic change. So I think that has been the biggest thing. I feel that I have found a lot of answers to a lot of things that I never thought I was going to have. And
does your family recognize you right now?
Yeah, not really. When I told a lot of my friends that I got engaged, it was a lot of people were very skeptical, and I get it. I had a different life leading up to this moment, and I, as a person when I was younger, liked to party a lot and didn't want to settle with anybody or anything. This was like 180 degrees, and it wasn't that like, oh, I aged, and it was just like, oh, I met this person and it's amazing, and I'm just up for it. It was like a drastic change one day.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, I think this could totally work, and I'm up for it. It wasn't like it wasn't like a slow roll of like, oh, I want to settle down. Maybe no. It was like from one time I was just like all about this crazy life, and now I'm like, okay, this is great. I'm down for this thing.
Well, all right. So I want this law to. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I want this law. If you meet someone and you decide to get married, the second you're done with the marriage, the honeymoon is literally you are sent to a deserted island somewhere, and you guys have to work remotely together for 3 months. Because I swear to goodness, the amount of people that have found relationships and found themselves because we didn't have the buffers. We didn't have the bar. We didn't have the baseball game. We didn't have the gym. We didn't have family friends. We didn't have buffers. And so you really got to really hone in and get to know who you are, the people that you're going to be with. Even like I was on the beach one day, and this like cute little old woman was with her granddaughter. I said, sweetheart, do you know what I learned during the pandemic? And she's like, what, Nana? She goes, I learned that I have a lot of people in my life that I don't like. And so I will repeat that line forever, because I was sitting at the beach and I'm like, oh, Nana, I want to be your friend. I just want to be your friend. Because we had so many things, outside elements in our lives that just didn't make sense. But we were just doing it because it was just like, it's like a line item when you're at a business. It's like, I pay for it because it's just, I've always paid for it. So it's just there. And so if we could put everyone that finds a love away, you'll know very quickly if this is the right person versus if it's not the right person. And I'm so happy that you found the right person. This is amazing.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was also like it was time tested. She was living in New York.
Yeah.
She was in the TV and film industry, and she was in Massachusetts because like her parents live here.
Yeah.
And it was like it had like an expiration date of sorts, right? It was like, well, at X date I'm going back to New York and whatever. And I was like, well, I'm working from home.
Yeah.
So I was like, and I would go to New York, spend 3 weeks in New York, come back, like, and I was just like, because like I believe in this.
Yeah.
And then we're like, well, let's move in together, let's do this thing and figure it out. And and that was crazy because I was like, I'm spending so much time with this person and we're moving in, and it's like, it's scary. It's a lot of people get scared about that, especially like, well, right now we work together in the apartment. And we are good. Like we try to set boundaries. We try to have like a healthy adult relationship. I was reading something the other day that I don't know if you know about this, but it was very interesting. I was reading this interview, like the singer of a band that I like a lot. This guy called Keith Buckley.
Okay.
And he sings for like a punk band, and he has written a couple like fiction books, and he's like a very intelligent guy.
Mm-hmm.
And the pandemic, they recorded an album before the pandemic, and they were just like, they couldn't release it. And the guy got a divorce, and it was just like a whole thing. And now he's dating a person, and he was like, yeah, I'm right, like for the first, I'm in a female-led relationship. And I was just like, what is that? Like I was just like,
a female-led relationship.
Yeah, and I was like, what is that? And I literally was reading the interview, and I was like, I opened a tab, and I was like, I want to understand, what is this? And it was a relationship that pretty much is like everybody kind of shares their duties in the house, and it's like an evenly split relationship in the sense.
Why do they have to put the name female?
Yeah, I don't know, but I was just like, well, this is kind of what I'm into, right? Like when I'm in the situation that I am right now, we split the task, the chores of the house, and there's like nobody that has.
I take total offense of that, because my dad did, he would iron and he would do the dishes and he would clean, because he did it better than my mom. I love my mom, but my mom, that was not her thing at all. And she can do it. She doesn't enjoy it. That's her job. Is like, I go, My dad loved it. He loved all parts of making sure that it was like tidy.
Yeah, I think it's also part of, like, right now everything has some sort of label or name.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm anti-label of everything.
so for me that was like the interesting thing, but I was like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense if you are, because like for many years the norm was, the man would go and work and the woman would stay in the house and do, and it, I've never been about that life.
Yeah.
But then I was like, well, interesting. And for me, like that has been like the practice here in the house since we moved into here and all that, because it's like the healthiest thing. It's like,
Yeah.
well, I'll walk the dog right now, but then if I walk the dog and at lunchtime, you gotta wash the dishes after dinner tonight, or like, like doing those deals and compromises and things that,
Yeah.
not letting one person or the other be burdened by all the stuff. And just like every day, I'm just enjoying it a lot, and I'm having a great time, and I'm super excited. I'm super happy that despite the world's, craziness and the state of things as we speak after last year,
Yeah.
that I was able to find all these very positive, special things for my life.
I'm so happy for you. I am super. Like again, Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever, all I see is your work, and I just love seeing that you're constantly active. I go, even just like there was like one point during the pandemic, you're like, I'm like, I'm asking my community, because your fiance was looking for work here. Was she looking for work here versus New York? And I go, and I just love the fact that you're like, I am dropping my work, and I want the community to then like open up for her. And I was like, oh my God, I go, how sweet is that? I go, that is just amazingly nice. Because most people just, they stay in their lane when it comes to their spouses or their boyfriend. They don't talk about, but it was just so kind that you did that, because guess what? Everybody was home. And because everybody was home, everybody was seeing your message.
Yeah, for me, that was the thing. I told her, like, I'm gonna cash any favor that I have around to get you a job. Like, I was like, I know the CEO of this company. I'm just gonna text him and be like, hey man, you remember me? Yeah, you remember that I did this thing for you like a couple years ago? Okay, it's my time to collect. And I did it for friends too. I was just like, why do I have gathered? Because I have been very fortunate in the sense that I have been able to meet very powerful and influential people.
Yep.
And I have relationships with them that I can text them and be like, hey, how you doing? How are you feeling? What I saw that you were doing. So like, am I not going to use that to help others that haven't been able to do that? Like, that's crazy to not do it.
But all right. So this is very interesting that you even say that. Most individuals, most business owners, they don't like asking for the help. This is why I always end all interviews with the same thing, with the ask. So you asking your community was because of your heart. Would you have done that for work as well? Because a lot of people won't do it for either one. And I think that's one of the biggest detriments to whether it's a woman-owned business, a minority-owned business, a vet-owned business, a gay lesbian, and literally across the board for smaller businesses, they don't like asking, knowing that they came from a corporate organization and they have a Rolodex for days or LinkedIn for days. They don't ask. So you asked, but would you have done the same thing for you versus for her? I did
it as well. I was looking for more freelance work, and I was like, hey everybody, I'm looking for freelance work, so hit me up, right? Like, there might be some people that are interested or not, or and I did it for myself, because like, why not, right? Like, if you don't ask, you won't get an answer, yes or no. Yeah. That is it's very simple, very simple question answer situation. And I have done it for whoever needs help, and every time that I have had a friend or it's not that I do it for everybody. That's also a big part of it. It's like I try to do it for the people I really care about, because you're also putting your name on the line for somebody. And then the same way that I did it for myself, I'm looking for freelance work because I guarantee you're gonna have you're gonna be happy with the result. Yep. Well, hi, X person that I really appreciate and is my really close friend that is really talented, needs a job. Hit me up. I'll put you in contact. But I'm like aware that this person that I'm trying to help is gonna not be bad at what they're helping them do. and they're not gonna compromise my name. I think that's a big part, and I think that's something that I think people essentially are good, even though I'm very misanthropist in the sense that it's I don't like pretty much nobody, but I believe in essence that people want to be good to each other, but the environment and the messages that we get all the time and the content are making us sour, and they're making us bitter, and they're making us unhappy, and they're making us be against each other. It's not even getting political. It's just people are just right now in a very people are on edge, and
where they were saying how there's a study that Americans per se, I mean, I can't then speak to everyone, but they were saying how Americans overall were just angry.
Yeah,
people are just angry for everything, like whether it's an airplane, whether it's in cars, people are just angry.
Yeah, because and also literally the environment that we are and what we consume is literally designed right now to do that, to just fuel that. And for me, ultimately, it's I'm gonna ask for help publicly. I'm gonna be vulnerable in public. Because here's the thing. This is just more like a personal feeling. If I'm vulnerable in public, and somebody tries to screw me over because of that, I'm gonna know. And and it's gonna, you should see the other guy after what happens, right? I'm not gonna let anybody, try to screw me over.
Yeah.
But if I am vulnerable and I speak my truth and I ask for help, people are gonna come help.
Yeah.
And people are gonna reach out, and people are gonna, and I feel that's gonna, that's gonna make them feel better. And it's gonna give them, maybe empower them to do the same, to ask for help, to pay it forward. So why not? At the end of the day, why isn't everybody doing that, right? And people need to give away a little more of themselves in not fake social media stuff of here's my perfect life in Tulum or whatever. It's more I'm a human being, and I have bad moments and I have good moments, and I want to share them with the world, and I want to build community, and I want to work on better projects, and I want to make more friends, and I want to find people that think like me, and I want to have a great time while I'm in this world for as long as I'm in it. That's it.
I mean, and honestly, I have to say that you couldn't have ended it better than just saying that, because people are on edge. People are afraid to show who they truly are, because they want a life for what they're seeing on social media or they're seeing on TV. And they forgot that, just being yourself is just the best gift that you can give to the world. Be yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this conversation. This has been sweet. This has been so sweet. This is so nice.
It's one of the few occasions that I am wholesome.
All right, wait. One last question before the last question.
Okay.
Is how did you get to the point where you opened up more doors for yourself? Because during this entire time you've been evolving, and then all of a sudden, I mean, the universe hears, the universe sees, the doors started opening. How have you paid it forward to other people?
Wait, it's a 2-part question, correct?
Sort of, kind of, yeah.
Okay. Well, I feel that the way that I have paid it forward is just that, offering help in my limited or not limited means. I try to help people with what I can do. Oh, it's a small nonprofit that is trying to help minorities getting tech. Well, they need a video. Well, let me try to help you. Let me see if let me try to find some time. And that's something that I learned from this designer called Aaron Draplin.
Yeah.
He's a very famous designer that has designed for from Obama to Apple, Nike. And he would always try to, on Fridays, he tries to dedicate that time to somebody that can't afford his services. Every once in a while, I try to do that because I haven't made that the same amount of money that he has, so there's still, I can't allocate, but I try. And then that somebody needs a job. Well, like, or somebody young that is trying to get started, well, let's talk. Let's see what are you up to. Let me see your portfolio, or let me see your resume, or maybe here's this person that you can talk to.
Yeah.
I try to help with what I can help. There's things that I just can't, and in that case, what I try to do is just give them my emotional and moral support.
Yep.
And besides that, and in terms of my own personal evolution, I joke about this with my fiance that right now I have never been in the bandwagon of like entrepreneur people that, oh, I wake up at 3 a.m. and get cold showers and like that, because that's pretty insane. But I'm trying to be better in the sense of I've been listening to a lot like Ryan Holiday's podcast, The Daily Stoic, that he talks about the philosopher, the Stoics, like the philosophers from Greece and Rome.
Yep.
And just be a bit more intentional with my time and with what I do. Is just I'm trying to wake up early to like go to the gym, or started journaling, which is something that I have never thought. And I'm just trying to be self-aware with the use of my time, in a sense that, okay, if I'm gonna do this thing, I'm gonna try to like focus on this thing as much as, because like I have trouble focusing on one activity.
Yeah.
And I'm
the
gonna try to
rabbit hole, which literally, I'm not gonna lie to you, to take that. I literally have this where I go down it, and I'm like, nope, reminder.
Okay, I'm literally, I think I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be intentional with my time. Yep. And try to be intentional with what I do, and try to dedicate time to things that are important to me.
Yeah.
And but the thing is, I call that like the new age things that I'm doing. It's like, oh, I'm listening to this podcast about philosophy. And I told my fiance, like, do you really think I want to be listening to a podcast about philosophy? Not really. But when I'm at the gym running, or like when I go and work out, I'm trying to listen to it, because like I'm trying to get the like that message, or try to like be more conscious of that. And maybe I needed somebody to tell me what I should be doing in a way. But I try to like be more structured. I'm trying to be, because like at the end of the day, that's going to make me better at my work, and it's going to make me a better person, and it's going to make me a better human being, better professional, X, Y, and Z. So I think that's for me, my new age practices that I'm trying to do to evolve a little more.
I was just telling a friend earlier, because she asked, she's like, what do you do to constantly keep you going, keep you excited? Like, and I'm like, you know what? I don't work on Wednesdays, and I don't work on Wednesdays because it's my day off. And when I say it's my day off, weekends are not our days off. We're going shopping, we're doing cleaning, we're with friends and family. Weekends are not our days off. So I have chosen Wednesday is my day off. But during my day off, I go and learn something. So I'm taking a glass blowing class.
Oh,
and
cool.
So exactly, I use a glass all the time. I mean, there's glass on my phone. I mean, I want to understand really the entire essence of making something out of glass, and knowing that you just made this amazing glass, and now you're going to put it in the kilt, and then it hits the water the wrong way, and the entire thing shatters, and you're like, what? So for me, just going and finding new things to learn and understand, and also learn the story of the person that's teaching me, is how I want to enjoy my day off. So the philosophy, I love Greek philosophers, but I'm like, I don't know if I really want to do that. Because I tried it at the beginning of the pandemic, and I was learning about the astronomy, and I was like, it was with Neil deGrasse. And I was like, my brain, on an audiobook, my brain was like, no, I'm not enjoying it at all.
No, what I like is that this is kind of like dumbed down a little bit.
Oh, good.
And it's like, Seneca said this thing that, dedicate time, like focus on one thing, or like stand up for others and show courage when the situation needs it. And like, like the 4 principles of the Stoicism, that is like courage, justice, wisdom, and something else. It's like,
it's sticking though. You're listening to it, and it's sticking.
Yeah. It's like, okay. But when I go to learn, I'm like, I'm going to actively learn something. I try to learn things that I like. Like, let me try to learn like something on guitar, or let me try to learn a design thing, or like, that's kind of more my rhythm. But what I'm trying to do with these things is just more like learn how to like really pay attention. I think that's what I have struggled forever since I am a kid. And now, as like, I'm still like I have the time, I have the opportunity. like I want to be better at learning, and I'm gonna do it while learning things that I care about.
All right. So when we are offline, you have to teach me some more tips, because I will do 6th or 7th, and you people watching it, like, if you just finish this one first and you can go to the next one, I could, but I'm already bored here, so I have to go here. So I will start doing the dishes. I'll do the plates. I'll do the glasses. I'm bored already. I'm not doing the utensils yet, so I'm going to come back to that later. I mean, and because I'm constantly moving.
Yeah.
But when I'm into something, it's like you can't let it go. So yeah, when we're done, little tips there. Okay.
Got it.
So last question that I love to ask, because I never know where you are right now when I'm speaking to you. So no matter how many times, because I will always come back to you, see where you are. If you had a personal ask and a professional ask of anyone that is listening to you right now, what would be your personal ask and what would be your professional ask?
Okay, my professional ask is hire more creatives in your companies. You can hire me or hire others. Like dig deep, find people from different backgrounds, find people that are eager to do great work, and hire them and pay them well, and let that, because like you will feel very happy about the result of the work that you're gonna get, made by me or by somebody else, but do it. And then my personal ask is what I said. Let's just try to be slightly better to each other. Just right now I feel like there's so much anger, there's so much hatred, there's so much, and there's perspectives, there's binary perspectives of things. There's like, I feel that we have lost the ability to see the gray areas of life, which are really important, because nothing is really black or white, or and or hot or cold. I think there's places that we need to navigate a little bit in the middle and find affinities with others, and I think we need to be better because the world shouldn't have room for so much aggression towards each other. I feel that that's just feeding into this global feeling of despair about the state of the world. So I think we need to, this is something that I'm saying out loud to also internalize it myself, that we need to be better. The other day, my best friend told me something that it made a lot of sense to me. Like, he's not a person that talks a lot about these things, but when we get together and we get the opportunity to connect, he was like, yeah, like, I try, this is not something that I think about in the moment when I do it, but he was like, when I'm in the supermarket and I have like a cart full of stuff, and there's like a person that has like 2 things, and they ask like, oh, can I go? Because like, whatever, I let them go through. Like, and at the moment it's like, I'm just letting them go through because really they have 2 things. But really, when I think about it, what I try to do is like, I try to like post-mortem of the situation. I try to think of, I did that, and maybe that was the only good thing that person had, and like they had a really rough day, and this helps them. And maybe it's the case, maybe it's not, maybe but that made me feel good about myself, and maybe that person felt good. So do just do more for each other. I think that's my ask.
I love that one, because I always say, especially to the young people in my life, I always say, like, you know what, at school, like, make eye contact and say good morning to someone and wait for their answer. Good morning, how are you? Wait for it, because that moment of waiting for that answer could save many people's lives, because we live in school system where kids are just sick and tired. They're sick and tired, and aggressions come out in one way or another. Just that one moment, just like you just said, that one moment of being kind to someone can make a huge difference.
That's right.
I love that. Gonz, thank you.
Thank you for having me in your podcast again. It's always great.
You're just gonna get sick of me because it's not the last time.
You get the best answers out of me.
That, but also, I had someone on the other day because they were in the trucking industry, and I'm like, and something was in the news. I'm like, I go, hey, come on in, because you are you're in it. It's not, and as a former news person, why would I go to someone that's only heard about it or can theorize about it? I want to be with someone that's in it. So there's going to be times where I'm just going to like, hey, can you jump on the podcast right now? Because something's happening right now in your industry. And I mean, and this is a great way to, one, get you back on the podcast, two, see how you're doing, but also three, just for me to learn. I'm continually learning from you guys every single day. And so I'm in a lucky spot where I have my business, but also I have this podcast that would have never happened if it wasn't for the pandemic. And I get to learn every single day. So thank you for sharing knowledge, and just thank you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it too.
All right. Talk to you soon, my friend.
Bye.
Bye.